part of this framework, whatever you want to call it, is a sort of is an observer, is like a sort of an LM 1, 2, 3, however it works, or multiple temperatures that are going over the context constantly.
How's it going, Jason?
Yeah, it's good. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. No, things are good. We're just doing a quick powwow before. It was a big demo yesterday for Open Interpreter, so we've been a little bit distracted, but back in the game.
What was the was it a big release or something?
The is the first live demo of the upcoming desktop app. So Killian did it today, Tinkers in Seattle. Yeah. So Ty's been just like 18-hour days. It's been nuts.
Swamped. Yeah. It's how it goes in the AI space. So, you just kind of keep working, and it's just this industry moves so fast, man. There's just so much that
it's crazy fast.
You'll miss out on.
It's really hard. I mean, every single day I'm thinking I've settled on something to use for some task, and then I wake up and there's some news of something else, or and then I got a ping, a DM on X, or Twix as I call it, from a guy with a hunch, I think it's called, like a new kind of Langflow type, Flowwise type tool, and it's like, this is new. No, I'm gonna go have a look through this. It's like
another rabbit hole to dive into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the glasses get announced yesterday, and the preview for them. And then these things I don't normally wear, the Ray-Bans, but today I plugged them in just to see if there was an update, and it suddenly said I could use the Hey Meta again. Okay, it didn't kick in. So I can do. So I should be able to say now, Hey Meta, what am I looking at? Hey Meta, what am I looking at? That's the camera.
Whoa.
I heard it.
You are looking at a computer monitor with multiple tabs open, including video conferencing software, showing 2 people. Or 3 people it should be, but yeah. So that's quite
Nice.
cool. So I'm looking forward to them doing some updates on that. It might be because I've set my region to the US. I might cheat it a little bit, and it takes a few days for it to sort of go, okay, you are US. So it might, but a load of stuff got announced yesterday. I think it was yesterday. OpenAI, I think, signed yesterday, or they signed some treaty, some agreement, EU thing for some AI, deal breaker. I think it was the thing that was stopping, some of these things coming across. Like I haven't got advanced voice mode at the moment, because even though we're not in the EU, we're kind of bundled in. So
yeah,
what
happened to Brexit?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's really annoying, because it's like, the the Epic Store, who managed to do all that work to get there. We can't get it in the UK. In the EU, you can.
Brutal.
So it's like some farce. And so there's people, I'm hopping, and OpenAI are really hot on the VPNs. They will not let you get away with it. You get warnings, you get all these things pop up. It's like, okay. So I've given up on that until it comes out. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they're working towards it, because it is very strange. Like, we're on the North American side, but just seeing how EU and the vicinity has been treated like second-class citizens, it's weird.
It's really frustrating, yeah. Because I saw a news article earlier about Meta kicking off training their stuff on UK data again. It's like, so, if it's not out and my trick has worked, that's terrible. You're training your stuff on our data and we can't use it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Frustrating.
It's all good fun in the AI space. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I've got one of these things as well. The Friend. I've been playing with this a bit more. I've managed to I've got this now, talking to a retool workflow. So as it's working its magic and recording this conversation or some of it, and it'll transcribe it and keep the good bits, and anything I say, oh God, I really need to do that tomorrow. I really need to have a pickle tomorrow, not avocado, but obviously, but it will put on my to-do list about 5 o'clock. Things for tomorrow: have a pickle.
Amazing.
But it's got a webhook, so I've got the webhook going to retool, and so I've got a little flow I knocked up. It's not doing much at the moment. It's just emailing me for testing. But if I say, "Hey Jarvis, can you remind me to do something tomorrow?" it will pick up the "Hey Jarvis," and then the retool will just send an email. But I want to make that go off and do like some. It's going off to a model and checking now, but I want to get it doing something clever. Like, imagine Open Interpreter. You've got the server running on the desktop, and I could be just going downstairs with this and just say something. And I'm not going to get any feedback from this, But if I've got these on or I'm connected with, it's like
Yeah.
I want to completely. My goal is to try and build a completely transparent system that I can use almost anything to talk
Amazing.
and get back to where I need to be. So I'm literally just using anything that's about. Like the Alexa that my mum's got. My mum's at the moment. She's got stuff downstairs. She's got one of those. If I write a skill, I don't know if they'll let you. I don't know if they've let skills go through that can go off to OpenAI or whatever. I'm sure they must have done. Then I could,
Hopefully.
in theory, go down there and say, to the sort of generic skill that I created to do a quiz or something, I could say, passcode 7770. Can you do this on my machine? It'd be like, yeah, okay.
Oh,
I just love all
love
that
it.
stuff. I just want to make it work,
With the friend, do you wear it when you're out and about, or is it just like a at home in your office
Most of
type
the
deal?
time, I don't go out a lot, other than meetings if I have to go to. I've got COVID, I think, at the moment because she's just come down with it. But yeah, I sort of wear it most of the time during the day. It's really good. It's a really good mic. You can put it on the desk, and it will and it's doing it in real time, which is an astonishing thing. You can actually see it coming in, which is crazy because it's that big, and it will last like 24 hours. And they've got the new versions coming. I've got the dev kit for the new one coming, $50. Ridiculous.
Can't beat it.
$50. It's got a button on it this time, so you can actually push the button to record something. You definitely want this, noted. And it's got a little buzzer, almost like a speaker that can't do speech, but it will, beep or something. So that's quite cool. They got the right idea. Nick, I think his name is. He's got the right idea with all this.
Yeah, Nick's great, and they even put a little extra onboard memory onto it, so if you lose
Yes.
connection for a bit, it can keep transcribing.
Yeah, and it's a little SD card. And when you see the internals,
cool.
it's like a tiny little board and everything. It's like, this is crazy. It's just amazing.
And it's all open source too.
I'm still
such
waiting.
a fan of that.
Sorry.
It's all open source too, which is fantastic. Nick gave us 2 free friends when we were at the AI Engineer Conference, and it's been so much fun to play with.
Oh, it's genius. I mean, they've done all the right things in terms of, it captures this info. You can download the little sort of JSON add-ons to do that are configured for different prompts to do different things. So if you want to have a laugh, I think it's called the Harsh Mentor. If you download that one, it's a personality you download, and it goes through your chat. So when your memories and everything get recorded and you have meetings, it will be able to go through that as well. So it kind of runs through all of your sessions with all these different assistants, and then they give their little opinions. And he is brutal. I mean, he is literally. He's I have a meeting and he'll be like, "That meeting was a complete mess. You were all over the place. You weren't focusing. You were using too complicated words. Your organisation skills are rubbish, and your planning is terrible." And I'm like, flipping heck, okay?
Yeah.
It's brutal. But I love it because it's like really cool. Sort of keeps, and you can write your own and put them up there. And then they've done proper plugins now as well. So I think it can start doing more of the things that I'm trying to do here with the webhook, which will be superb. I just love that idea. Yeah, just remind me of this tomorrow. Bang, into your certain list, or love it.
Yeah. And then it's just like everyone's creativity is going to feed into that. And just on the notion of the harsh mentor, Ty made a video summary once, and he had also included a roast me feature where he'll do the same type of thing. You feed the video, it's just like, you guys talk too monotone. You guys are like talking about stuff that will put people to sleep, blah, blah, blah. And it was just really funny being able to hear how harsh an AI can get if you tell it.
Yeah. I've seen that done as well. Yeah, I've seen it done really brutally as well. Yeah, I think it was done on me and done on a few people. But actually, when you hear it, you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's right, yeah. It's like,
fair.
But it's like if someone says, well, you're a chubby whatever. It's like, you're a chubby ass. And it's like, I'm not chubby. Or whatever. You've got to always come back with the good ones. But yeah, it can be quite, Grok is the interesting one. If you go into Grok, someone said to me, go into Grok and just say, tell me about your tag name, your handle. And it was really interesting because like the first time I did it, it said, because even though the name's unusual, Kneen, it's from Isle of Man, it's Manx. And when I first looked into other people, it was like CompuServe days and there was no one, it's like, I'm the only one. But then as you filter through, there's quite a few Jason Kneens. And one of them works for an energy company and plays football in I don't know, North America or something. So it said, Jason's a keen footballer and works for so-and-so energy. And I'm like, what? So I'm thinking like, have I just crossed the universes or something, or what's going on? Because the rest of the stuff was okay. But then the next day when I did it, it came back with correct information. And it's almost like it was woken up. You know, it did a quick, it panicked, you know, never done this, right, grab. And then the next day it was like, right, I'm doing some indexing now. And it was pretty good. But it said something like, he is a contentious character on Twitter or X with his opinions on certain things. I was like, that's probably pretty accurate, yeah.
I like that Grok is like taking. I think it's a little bit cringy the way they have it responding. Sometimes it's like kind of like the bit's a little bit cringy, but at the same time, like they're trying to do it a little bit differently and have it not sound so monotone and sound so like AI assist. So I appreciate going in that direction. I think that does a lot for it. But I think this version's a little cringy.
Yeah, the funniest thing was when you accidentally turn on the have fun mode or whatever it's called, and you can't tell. You can't tell whether it's stupid news or not, because it comes on with this stuff and you're thinking, yeah, it sounds about right. You know.
Yeah. Oh, especially in today's age. Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally like, you know, Meta announced glasses and so announces I don't know, something you stick in your mouth that is connected to the internet, and you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, it makes sense. You know. I wouldn't be surprised all these things that are happening. It's just insane.
All right, Jason, what exciting tools have you been working with recently? I know you use all sorts of different tools for all sorts of different things. Is there anything that's on your radar recently?
I'm doing a lot of stuff with agentic stuff at the moment, agents, I've kind of got this little fascination with trying to build a little development team, but do it like a real team, so I can actually work alongside them, and we can use Slack and things like that, so they actually behave like developers and I can talk to them like developers. So I've been trying out different things. I've been trying to write my own Python proxies and Python servers and my own apps to sort of do it. And then I've been playing with things like Crew AI, Agent AI, Flowwise, Langflow, and all these different tools to try and work out how I can make it work and what's going to be best. And it's kind of trying to come up with a flow, a process that works like a real team. So, you know, I have a job to do. I've got a sort of basic spec. I need it fleshed out. I need questions asked. I need to clarify, come up with the final spec. So you need that sort of creativity to start with. And then it's kind of like, we need to get on with this, put the team together. They go and work on it. But it's kind of like not trying to simulate. It's not trying to do it the way others are doing it, in the sense that they're trying to do it instantly. You know, it comes back and you've got an app. I kind of want that to be a proper process. It can be quicker, yeah, but I want to work alongside. You know, I still want to be involved in the process. I want to be able to see what's going on and check out the code and everything. So the sort of test I've done so far with a product called SoftGem was pretty cool. And I was helping those guys out as well with they let me have access to their sort of private repo. So I was just helping them out with a couple of bits. But that's really cool because they added Git support. And then I said, could you put in the ability to add me as a collaborator on that on my own project? He was like, oh, okay. So we did that and then made it private, the GitHub repo, because it was public before, because it was just messing around. And now it's like it's cool. I mean, I can have that going and working on a certain pages and keep it running. And I've got it running locally and I'm doing something else. And every now and again I do a sync and I've got pull requests or I've got, changes coming in that I need to pull down. And it's like, this is awesome. And if it breaks, because sometimes they do, you know, sometimes they just stop. You can either see if it will fix it, and if it can't, I can just go in, debug it, fix it locally, tell it to re-pull it, and it does it, and it updates. So it's that kind of thing I think is really interesting, because, you know, I could go to something. Could you go and write some tests for these? You know, I've just got this working. Could you refactor this? Could you get someone to refactor this? And do it like that, you know, almost just, it could be a Slack, it could be WhatsApp, it could be a voice. Just make it all just transparent, you know. It's not like I instruct you to do this, and because I've got this sort of, I've been going through this whole thing of learning about how to talk to them, because basically my belief, well, this is many people's belief, but the understanding I've come to is that LLMs are like a sort of 9-year-old child with autism. And I can say that because I'm ADHD and autistic. I got diagnosed with, so I kind of get it. You know, they're very black and white. They are extremely clever. They've got all this information, but it's how you put it together and make it work. There's a lack of experience there. There's a lack of, common sense and stuff like that, of spotting mistakes. They'll go gung-ho and do, replace a whole library that you're using because of one bug that messes up your entire app. And all of a sudden I've got Conda installed instead of, whatever I'm using. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? It's just going off and doing things. And everything's broken for all my other projects or whatever. And so, yeah, I sort of get how it works now. And then it's like how you instruct it is really important, obviously, prompting, but how you talk to it. Because the sort of view I came to was that it's based on human data. It's based on human training. It's based on human conversations. And so emotion, regardless of the fact that it's a computer or not, is important. I had Cursor, which is great. I had that stop doing work for me. It stopped applying the code because I was basically swearing at it because it was pulling out all this. It was doing something, and then I was like, "Where the hell's the code gone?" And it was like all gone apart from this one line, and I'm like, "What the hell are you doing? Don't do that. Don't take code from somewhere else, or say to me, put the rest of your previous code here." It's like I gave you the whole file, and you've given me what? Anyway, it got to the point where I said, "I need to do this," and it went, "Okay, all you need to do is this, 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 and this, and then remember to do that." And I was like, "Well, can you do that?" "Oh, you want me to do that?" Well, yeah, you're supposed to be doing this." "Oh, okay." It was almost like getting really irate, getting really annoyed with me, like a petulant child or something. It was like, flipping heck. So that was quite funny. And then the whole hallucination thing is a big deal, All of these things like Claude's good, but they all go down. They all get to that little point when they start going a bit funny, and you start getting, "Oh, I forgot this. Oh, yes, you're right. Of course, you need that thing at the beginning. Oh, I didn't realize you didn't want me to delete that and stuff." And it's like, so I'm trying to sort of just work out as I go how that works. And long story short, is I'm trying to kind of work on almost like a shared context between all the different tools I'm using, but not one context that everything is combined into. It's almost like it's like an intranet, like the old intranets for the LLMs. So they've all got their own chat contexts, but I could be in, let's say, a chat app. I could be in Open Interpreter, desktop or something, and if I've got it all linked through to a server that I've got a connection to, or I've got it all going into Open Interpreter, I can say to my chat app, Mac GPT, I can connect that to the Open Interpreter endpoint, and then I could be in that and go having a conversation. And I say, "Can you just check with project 123 if you can help with anything?" And then that could actually communicate with the server. Open Interpreter could respond with, "Well, yeah, you could do that," and then it would come back to me, and now it's got the context of that project and that strand. So it's like again, like I said earlier, it's like I'm transient. I don't have to. I can walk downstairs with that and say, "Oh, can you remind Bot 7 or Boris or whatever it's called to do the tests for the login page?" And it will. And I have to hope it's done, but I might get a ping on the watch or something to say it's been done. It's being worked on, and it's that kind of thing that I want to get to. So I'm not restricted into one app. So that's a passion at the moment. And it's complicated.
Yeah. I really love that. Do you use any tools for either prompt optimization, or you just kind of do A/B testing, and for observability, like making sure that the bot does actually follow through on your request? Do you have anything for those?
So that's the thing. So prompt-wise, I'm still learning. I came up with a sort of concept of an acronym called GUIDE, which if you ask me for, I'll forget, but it starts with goal. It's like goal, understanding, instruction, and it's kind of like the stages of a prompt, whether it's a good prompt or not. But it's kind of it's a guide. I'm trying to structure everything properly. Yeah. So I've realized grammar is important and context is important, obviously, but the way you phrase the sentences. So there's a book called Eat, Shoots and Leaves. It's about the Oxford comma and about how important it is to conversations and how it can change a sentence. And it says, a panda walks into a restaurant, eats, shoots and leaves. Now, you think with the comma in the right place, it's a panda walks into a restaurant, eats, shoots and leaves. It eats, shoots and leaves. But with the comma in the wrong place, it's a panda walks into a restaurant, eats, shoots everybody, and then leaves. so that it changes the context. And I've realized that with the prompting. So sometimes I might make a spelling mistake and think, well, it'll get it, it'll understand it. But sometimes you've got to be careful because it's a predictive model. So, you know, I was talking to someone the other day, I think it was one of your guys actually, who I was talking to on Twitter or on the phone. And he said, yeah, you've got to be careful with the predictive stuff, because if you branch, you know, if you say the wrong word, if you use the wrong term, you call something the wrong name, maybe there's two libraries and you've called it something different, you can send it off on a branch, and that branch only has to go one step, and then it could and by the time you get down there, you're off. You're in a completely different world, and it's doing all kinds of things. So what I've learned is I can't do this. I think I got it. It accidentally deleted some stuff from my code when I was referring to the items in the in the conversation I was having with it. So I'd done the classic comma thing or something. I'd kind of said, and can you make sure you don't do those 5 things or something? And I was referring to the 5 things I'd referred to earlier in this conversation, like only a couple of paragraphs up, thinking it would connect the two, but it took coincidentally the 5 things I'd asked for it to do and didn't do that. And it's just like, it's confusion. You know, it's me not being clear. So on the observability side, part of this framework, whatever you want to call it, I'm trying to build, and I'm trying to build it in bits so you can sort of plug in different things to different systems, is a sort of is an observer, is like a sort of an LM 1, 2, 3, however it works, or multiple temperatures that are going over the context constantly. So it's constantly looking at phrasing, how long things took. So you could find out that it seemed to be in this page doing this request for 10 attempts and it's still going, and then there was an issue and then we moved on. So it's kind of like trying to understand, well, when we did finally fix it, how did that work? Was it a different prompt? Was it a different conversation style? So you've got all this data, and it's like, this is just the perfect moment, because you've got all this data and you've got an LLM. You can say, what was the sentiment of that whole conversation, or what were the trigger points in that conversation that caused branching to occur? And it's like you could have it self-checking, and then you refine, not an artificial context or an artificial message memory, but you can partition that stuff off and keep it for learning, but it's kind of self-correcting it. So the history of the conversation becomes more of a perfect history, which sounds crazy, because if you had someone coming into a company and you went, oh, it's all great here, it's brilliant, everyone's amazing, then that would be the wrong thing to do. It's a completely different situation. But with an LLM, I could bring another LLM in. It goes and gets that context, and it's just reading through all this stuff, and it's like, wow, this is, Whereas I want it to do the latest stuff, but I still need it to know the goal and the steps that we've done and the attitude we've got and everything else. So it's all about goal for me. It's like, is this towards the goal? Is you wiping out half that code towards our goal? No, don't do it then. It's getting it to think like that.
Do you have any steps in your process where like the LLM is optimizing its own prompts? I've played a lot with DSPy, if you've ever heard of it, and I really believe in this future where I think AI can talk to AI better than humans can talk to AI. So I think there's parts in different AI workflows that make a lot of sense to pass context into and then have the AI write a prompt for the next AI. I think there's some really interesting stuff there. Have you played with any of that?
Yeah, I mean, I've played with it. Some of the terminology, there's things that I've played with where I've done stuff or I've read stuff and done it, and then someone says, do you know have you done this? And I go, no, and then they explain it, and then I go, oh, well, yeah, I've done that. I just didn't know it was called that or whatever. But yes, exactly that. One of the tricks you can do, again, context, it's when these things start giving you the token counts. And you're like, holy moly, the amount of tokens that are going, 1 million tokens going back and forth. Because, it goes up every time. If the caching's not happening, then that's what makes it really, you get angry, because it's like, you just made a huge mistake. You didn't understand that one simple thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll do that. And it's like, well, then all the context has gone up again. It's just it's cost me pennies, but it's still. But yeah, that trick is a good one, is compressing the memory. Context windows are they can keep the beginning and the latest stuff and truncate the middle, or they can do a rolling context. I don't like rolling context. I think a lot of the ones that can go doolally are using the rolling context. So I think they've lost they've lost a focus, and Claude has done this for me, where it's done a feature. I thought, oh, it's done a little color picker. That's great. Love that. Now I want to do these little dragging these staff members around to put them in different shifts. That's great. Could we just do something there? And then suddenly the color picker's gone. And I'm like, where's the color picker gone? Could you get that back? Okay, put it back. And then the thing I just asked for changed back. And it's, what's going on? It's not one or the other. I need both. And then you go through this big, almost like argument with them. This is what I need. And at that point, you've got to give up. You've got to sort of stop, go back to the last one that worked, switch, and then continue, because you would never get back from that. It's like, you just won't. And that's what I've learned. And I had it with the O1s, the O1 preview. I had a problem with the 4.0 Mini. It just wasn't doing this change to this app. It was a simple button opened a form, you picked a timer, you pressed OK, the button state changed to the timer was on, you could press it to stop. That was it. It could not understand that I needed the state changed. It kept confusing the dialogue that popped up, and it was changing the dialogue of all these buttons for quick access numbers, for timers. It was changing it to a drop down. I didn't ask it to do anything in there. So I went back and I gave up eventually, moved on to something else. And then the O1 stuff came out and I put it through O1 preview. Straight away it got it. And it was just new context, new conversation, new model. Probably way too many parameters. I shouldn't have done that because I don't know what worked. But yeah, it was, you got to stop because it's not going to get any better. But the observability stuff's important. Switching your models, switching threads. I've done the thing as well, like you said. It's really funny. It's like eating itself. It's okay. This is, I've done all this prompting and I've got you to get to this point. Now, can you write that all as an instruction I can give to the next guy, and it will give you the prompt, and then you can start another one, hand it over, and see if it works. It's great. But the other one I want to say is, and I'm talking a lot, is putting the thinking stuff, the reflection stuff that came up recently. It's quite interesting when you actually play around with that, especially on ChatGPT, which can do all the functional stuff. It does actually do things. You can see it it comes up with that little processing thing, which it normally does for code, and it normally does when it's, going off and getting a file directory or something. And all I've done in there is I want you to think of 5 solutions, and then I want you to go over each one, and I want you to analyze those solutions, and I want you to drill down to 3, and then I want you to go over those and drill it, and it will take longer. So I haven't done a full comparison yet, but I want to have like a simple question or a simple task, give GPT, vanilla, and then GPT with this thing, and just kind of compare where it is, because it's still to me it feels like, I said to someone the other day, all these systems are being built, and it feels like the money shop, if you want to call it that, or the golden egg or whatever. The whole thing is, if somebody comes up with that incredible prompt that is almost like crafted so perfectly that it encapsulates everything in one prompt, it would almost be, that to me, okay, it's not AGI, but it would be close for me. That would be, it's thinking through things, it's anticipating, it's remembering previous things it's done. It's not suggesting tools you don't use. The number of times Warp fires up Vim or Nano or whatever it is, and I'm like, I don't use those. I don't use those. I've never used those. Why are you not looking back? It's learning how you work. So it's that sort of thing. But yeah, context is, I think context, memory, message memory, prompt technique, and just this treating it like a person. I think I have and I will get better results like that. Please and thank you. Big it up a bit.
Yeah. No, I love that. And actually, my first impression of O1 Preview wasn't very positive. It seemed okay. But then I talked to Ty about it. He's like, tried adding more use cases, more parameters, just try to intentionally add guardrails to it, because as soon as it has an extra parameter or extra variable it has to incorporate into its flow, it does spend that extra time thinking, and you do get better results. So it's been very interesting to see the progress there.
Yeah, I think it was a completely different way of prompting those things, man.
Exactly.
O1 is, you have to prompt it so much differently than you do a GPT-4o or a 3.5 Sonnet. You have to not tell it exactly what it should do. You kind of have to be like, this is kind of the goal I'm going for. These are the constraints. It loves constraints. Give it as many constraints as you have for the project. It takes all of that, and then you can actually do the reasoning on it. And if that reasoning is beautiful, and it comes out with some of the best responses I've seen out of any LLM, but if you're prompting it the same way you are a standard ChatGPT, then you're doing it wrong.
And it's costing you because the tokens are a little bit more expensive. The thing that I was just gonna say about that comment is the sort of over explanatory stuff it doesn't like, and there's another synergy that I found between working with AI models and that's working with offshore developers, and that's not a negative of offshore developers. It's typically offshore developers with a language barrier. So I was managing a team of 3 guys in Vietnam, working for a client as like the part-time CTO and managing these 3 guys. 3 good developers, great developers, React Native and web stuff and all this kind of thing. Firebase, really good. But the language was an issue. They spoke better English than I spoke Vietnamese. And it's taken a while for me to work out the right way to deal with them, because I'm technical. I'm supposed to be managing them. I'm not supposed to be hands-on as such for that, but I can be. And I was giving them too much instruction. It was like I was saying what the field name should be and what the properties and what this, and we should store it like this, rather than going, these guys have been working on the project for longer than I'd been. They know this stuff. And so from their point of view, I was constraining them almost into a path that they didn't think would work. And sometimes they didn't think it would work, and it did work, or sometimes their solution didn't work, but that's fine. We worked things through, and I had to kind of back off a bit and almost do the thing like you just said. We need to add this feature. We need to make sure it doesn't do this, this, and this, but does do this. It doesn't affect this. What can you come up with something? And then they were off. Then they come, they're in their element, and they come back with a solution. And you can go, perfect, done. Or actually, can we do this? Or in this particular case, the client would change his mind every 5 minutes. So be like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. We're doing this instead. And they're like, ooh. But that was, and I learned that and I would get as frustrated with them sometimes because of that inability to articulate what I wanted, as I do with the AIs. And I was having a conversation with someone where I said, I mean, it's just like, it is literally like dealing with AIs sometimes. And they said, well, how do you know they're not? And I was like, oh. It's like, no, I have seen them. I have definitely seen them. And I know they're human. They are human. But it's quite amazing the experience you can get and how it can change the way you then communicate with it. And you realize a lot of it is just the way you're doing it. I will do something where I'll go, okay, can you update the menu to a burger menu top right? Let's put the settings top left, and then in the middle I want this and that. Oh, and change settings to the something other than a cog, and the title should come down a bit. So I'm jumping, I'm not going through that sequence, and it's like either you need to, or you need someone else in between, like another model, to go, whoa, that's relating to that, because it can't do that. It doesn't seem to be able to do that association. So with the developers that I was working with, I said, I did the eat, shoots, and leaves type thing. I went through something, and then I said, and then can you do this? And they thought I was talking about a completely different component, and so they wiped out this component at the top. And I was like, no, I wanted that one. Oh, I thought you wanted that. It's like, you look at it again, it was me. So you learn a lot, I think. You're still learning,
We're going to have you back on, though. There's so much more that we want you to cover. Seeing like the way you use these tools and the options out there has been amazing. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like the viewers to know? Anything you want to plug?
I'm on X, I'm on Twitter, or Twix as I call it. I'm posting stuff about models, AI, coding, tips, advice. I'm running some live streams with some music that I've done and some of this artwork. And if people want to subscribe, they can. There's a subscription button on my Twitter profile, and it's going to help me be able to do more of this stuff to help people understand and share the open source love with the community.
Thanks, love it. All right, make sure you check it out, and I'll talk to you soon, Jason.
Thank you.